Christy Tucker from the Wildfire Information Center, Stephen LaCroix, Managing Director of and Senior Assistant Deputy Minister for the Alberta Emergency Management Agency. We will begin this morning's meeting with Minister Loewen from Forestry and Parks.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another wildfire update. Alberta continues to experience hot, dry weather, leading to increased wildfire danger and heightened fire activity throughout the province. Today, Alberta has 170 active wildfires burning, with more than 50 of these classified as out of control. To put this in further perspective, since January 1st, there have been over 930 wildfires in the forest protection area, and more than 440 of these have occurred in July alone. The past few weeks have been tough. While there is rain expected in parts of the province later this week, the forecast into the next week calls for more hot, dry weather, meaning we will likely have more hard days ahead of us. Given these conditions, Alberta has imported a number of resources and personnel from other jurisdictions to aid in our response efforts. We're incredibly grateful for these resource sharing agreements. Early in the year, we were sharing resources and personnel, and we're prepared to return the favor in the future to these jurisdictions. I'm also asking Albertans to please be extra careful when you're outdoors and avoid doing anything that could start a wildfire. Preventable wildfires put a strain on our resources and the people who are working hard to protect the province. Now more than ever, our firefighters need to focus on the larger wildfires that threaten communities or infrastructure. On Sunday and Monday, I was able to visit a camp where over 200 personnel are working around the clock to combat the wildfires in the CMO complex east of High Level. And I can assure Albertans that our men and women on the front lines, both from Alberta and from outside the province, are doing everything they can to keep the surrounding communities safe. I'd also like to mention the evacuation order recently issued by Parks Canada for the township of Jasper and surrounding areas. While this wildfire is under Parks Canada jurisdiction, many Albertans and visitors have been impacted by this sudden evacuation order. Alberta's government is here for you, and we are working hard to make sure you can return safely. And we are already providing personnel and resources to help with that wildfire also. Before I hand things over to Minister Ellis, I'd like to remind the province of a few things. First, there's a fire ban in effect for the whole forest protection area. Other jurisdictions may have similar bans or restrictions, so please stay informed on active bans in their area. You can find out more details about what's prohibited under the Forest Protection Area fire ban at alberta.ca. Second, I would like to remind Albertans that you can help with wildfire operations near your community through the Wildfire Reservist Program. For more information on the program, check the website at alberta.ca or reach out to your local forest area office. Finally, I want to once again thank our wildland firefighters and support staff for their hard work and dedication. Every day, they keep our province safe. We owe them our gratitude, and we need to work together to prevent more human-caused wildfires. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Minister Loewen, and good morning, everyone. Alberta continues to see significant wildfire activity across the province, and there have been some significant developments overnight. It's a challenging time for all impacted and supporting communities. The province is working very closely with the local authorities, including the municipality and Parks Canada. We're moving very quickly to make sure that people are taken care of. Due to nearby wildfires and highway closures, the town of Jasper and Jasper National Park issued an evacuation order and declared a state of local emergency at approximately 10 p.m. last night. The Alberta Emergency Management Agency has been working in close collaboration with Jasper's Director of Emergency Management, Parks Canada, and their teams. Jasper activated their activity center located at 303 Bonhomme Street for residents needing assistance. Evacuees have been notified that a reception center is open in Grand Prairie at the Bonnet's Energy Center. There's also a reception center in Calgary at Shoaldice Athletic Park, located at 1515 Home Road, Northwest Calgary, opening for evacuees starting at 11 a.m. We encourage everyone to check the municipality of Jasper's website and alberta.ca/emergency for more information as it becomes available. One fire is approximately 12 kilometers south of Jasper on both sides of the river, and wind may exacerbate the situation. Therefore, we're encouraging everyone heading to Grand Prairie to take Highway 16 west to Prince George, and then proceed north via Highway 97, then south on Highway 2 and back east to Grand Prairie via Highway 43. For Calgary, take Highway 5 south to Kamloops and then proceed east to Calgary via Highway number 1. Also, the RCMP is bringing in resources to assist with door knocking. The local hospital and long-term care facilities has been evacuated of all patients. Additionally, evacuation orders remain in place for the following communities. Chippewa Lake, Janvier 194, that's part of the Chippewa Prairie First Nation, as well as 3 communities in the Little Red River Cree Nation, John Doerr, Prairie, Fox Lake, and Garden River. An evacuation alert is still in effect for the hamlet of Janvier, meaning residents should be prepared to leave on short notice. Evacuation orders are not made lightly and are in place to protect people. We ask residents in all affected communities to listen to local officials and obey any evacuation orders you may receive. Also, follow the Alberta Emergency Alert app and website and your local municipality for evacuation information and available services. Alberta 511 also provides up-to-date highway closures and conditions. At this time, we estimate that there are approximately 17,500 evacuees across the province. I'd like to express my thanks to those communities who are stepping up to support their neighbors. Some communities have done so multiple times in the past few years, and it is greatly appreciated. It's certainly the Alberta thing to do. For those under an evacuation order, please register online as an evacuee at emergencyregistration.alberta.ca. Registering as an evacuee will help you access resources and important information like updates and reentry plans. Albertans need to remain vigilant. We are, of course, here to assist everyone with that. And please look for emergency preparedness info on alberta.ca, including how to make an emergency plan and what to bring with you in case of an evacuation. Wildfire directions can change quickly, and the situations are often rapidly evolving. That is why that we ask that during a wildfire season, you remain prepared to potentially evacuate with short notice. Things like 72 hours worth of food and water, critical documents, first aid kit, medications, and so on are, of course, important to have prepared at all times. I want to reiterate to all Albertans that whether you're close to an area that is currently impacted or not, it's immensely important to take the steps necessary to prepare yourself in the event that you have to leave your home. Public safety remains our top priority, and I encourage all Albertans to be prepared, listen, follow the instructions of local authorities, and please stay safe. And with that, we'll open the floor to questions. Back to the moderator. Thank you.
We're going to now go to Christy Tucker from Alberta Wildfire.
Thank you. As Minister Loewen mentioned, we have 170 wildfires burning in the forest protection area of Alberta. 56 of those are currently out of control. Wildfire danger is extreme in most of the province right now, and in the past few days, we have seen lower fire behavior, in part because of some of the smoke cover that's been across the province. However, today we are expecting a change in that fire behavior. We're preparing for challenging conditions today as a cold front moves in from BC and the winds are going to shift. This will change the intensity of several of the wildfires in Alberta, as well as the direction that they may be moving. We've been anticipating what could be an active day, and firefighters and support staff have been working hard to build fire guards around communities and other values at risk. I know many Albertans are concerned about the situation in Jasper National Park, and today we are supporting our colleagues from Parks Canada in their wildfire response, and it's one of our top priorities. We've already provided support overnight, from aircraft to staff to wildfire intelligence. And today we have firefighters and aircraft on standby that are ready to help in Jasper if needed. For information on evacuations, as Minister Ellis said, you need to follow Alberta Emergency Alert. And for information on this wildfire in Jasper, please follow Jasper National Park on social media, or you can call 1-888-773-8888. Information about other wildfires in the forest protection area, please go to the Alberta Wildfire Status Map or download the app. Thanks.
Thank you, Ministers and Christy, for these updates. We will now take questions from the media. To get in the queue, click on the raise your hand or chat icons on the screen. Please make sure your mic is turned on and identify yourself by name and media, and media outlet when I call on you. You'll be able to ask one question and one follow-up. We're going to start with Dennis. Please go ahead, Dennis.
CBC Fort McMurray. The question is directed mainly to Christy Tucker. Can you please provide kind of a more in-depth picture of what is going on right now in the Wood Buffalo region? So that's Fort McMurray Forest area, as well as a bit of Lac La Biche and Slave Lake. What are the fire conditions looking like in this part of the province at this time, particularly with the big cattail complex, and as well as wildfires that provoked evacuation order at Chippewa Lake and evacuation alert at Janvier?
Thanks for the question. So certainly over the past week, we have seen most of the wildfire activity in the province concentrated in the northern half of the province. As mentioned, that Fort McMurray and Lac La Biche area have seen some large-scale priority wildfires in the vicinity of communities that have prompted evacuation alerts or evacuation orders and concerns in the north. And we are still prioritizing those fires. Of course, as always, those fires that threaten communities are of extreme importance to us, and that's where we focus a majority of our resources. And so neither of those fires in the northeast of the province have showed significant growth over the weekend because of the smoke cover that was there. It did keep wildfire activity low. We did see a little bit of a shift in the cattail complex. There was some slight growth later in the day. So when the smoke is lifting, and we are anticipating a shift in winds in that area from southeast to west, and that is going to change the direction and the intensity of the wildfires there. And we're preparing for that. Firefighters are aware of that. We have a fire behavior advisory in place in the boreal forest, and that means that we're going to be extremely aware of the potential threat to safety and the fact that we could see extreme wildfire behavior in those areas. With this shift of wind, we may see a lifting of smoke, and that mean that some of the relief that we've had over the weekend on that fire behavior may change. So we have no significant advances to report on those fires because of the smoke cover that we've seen. We've been working on overnight operations on the ground and in the air when we've been able to fly. And so those have been successful in building containment lines, particularly around those values and communities at risk.
And as a short follow-up, a few highways were closed overnight in the Wood Buffalo region. Highway 881 is still closed from between Conklin and Janvier, and Highway 63 was closed for a time during the night. Are the wildfires getting kind of closer to these vital routes that provoke closure? What is kind of the situation, particularly with access to and from communities?
As I mentioned, we did see some growth in the Fort McMurray area on the wildfire there last night, and it was particularly likely the smoke that would have prompted officials to make decisions on the transportation there and access. One of the factors that municipalities are taking into consideration when they're considering things like evacuations or when transportation is considering road closures is certainly visibility. And when visibility is hampered by smoke, they want to ensure that people can still travel safely. And so certainly Transport Canada or Transportation Alberta is the place to go for information about the road closures. But I know roads have been open and closed in that area over the weekend, largely because of smoke activity.
So let me supplement that, Christy. Thank you so much for that question. I certainly have some information here from transportation. And Christy is correct. This road has been opened and closed several times, obviously due to visibility amongst several other factors. The latest information, the most current information, I encourage anybody in Alberta, especially when it comes to road conditions, just go to 511 for the most accurate and up-to-date information on any specific road. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister, and thank you, Christy. We're going to now go on to Ryan. If you could please turn on your mic and ask your question and one follow-up, please. Oh,
Hi,
can't
all.
hear
It's
you.
actually Morgan. I'm just using Ryan's account. So it's Morgan Black from Global Edmonton. Minister Ellis, quick question for you. Originally, the messaging for the emergency alert for the fire in Jasper area was 5 hours from town. And then it was corrected to it being 5 hours for folks to evacuate. So a very big difference in messaging. How did the wrong message get sent out last night?
So that's a question that myself and the Premier had this morning. The original message was put out by the local municipality. Obviously, they would have made that decision, and the decision to use that messaging based upon the information that they had at the time. As new information came in, they corrected it, but that decision is made by the local municipality and the incident command team in the Jasper area.
And then, sorry, Minister, just to supplement that, is that something that you're going to be looking into to make better use of for future instances? Just because a lot of folks, I think, were really frightened when they got the original messaging.
Yeah, of course. Again, these are questions that both the Premier and I had late last night and also this morning. You know, we're going to have to inquire as to, you know, what is the data that that the municipality used in order to make that decision. You know, we're going to have to figure out if there is, you know, a better way, because you're not wrong. I think there was a lot of people that were, you know, scared, and I know that when myself and the Premier discussed it late last night, we were, of course, concerned as to, you know, what was happening in the town of Jasper and what indeed was the risk. As we continue to make phone calls with our Alberta Emergency Management, which we have embedded in those command teams up in the Jasper area, as well as any crisis point in the province of Alberta, you know, the messaging changed. But you know, these are very fluid situations. You know, I don't want to be the Monday morning quarterback to the people that made that decision. But to your point, we're going to have to make sure something like that doesn't happen again, for sure. Thank you.
Thanks, Minister. And then my follow-up question is, I'm just wondering why people are being sent to Grand Prairie and Calgary instead of Prince George. Just like geographically speaking, feels much closer to go to Prince George.
You know, I'm going to hand that over to Stephen, who's the senior ADM of the Alberta Emergency Management, for the answer to that one.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Yeah, the issue is the severity of wildfire activity and evacuations in BC proper. So British Columbia has been very gracious in facilitating the movement of Albertans through their province, and actually helping us with a collection point in Valemount, but they had no capacity to house Albertans, especially given the number in British Columbia. So that's why the decision was made there to route people back into Alberta through the most or through the safest route available given the fire conditions.
Thank you, Stephen, and thank you, Minister, and thank you for the question. We're going to go on to Connor. Do you have, can you turn your camera on and your mic and ask one question and one follow-up, please?
Yeah, hey, I don't believe, or sorry, I don't know who would answer this specifically, but I think somebody mentioned that there was 17,500 evacuees roughly across the province. I'm wondering if you have a breakdown for how many of those are from Jasper, and if there's any, if you have any indication of how many people were maybe in the area camping or as tourists rather than as residents that might have had to flee.
So that came from my remarks. I'll pass it on to Stephen. As I indicated, this is a very fluid situation. We're encouraging people to register, of course. But Stephen, do you have a better breakdown for the answer to that question?
Yeah, thanks, Minister. So the number came from the local authorities. So in this case, the town of Jasper and Parks Canada. So the town of Jasper was reporting that they were at max capacity, and given their population and their capacity, that's about approximately 10,000 people. Parks Canada was reporting up to 15,000 visitors in the park at that time. So that's That's why we came to a number of 25,000 people involved in this evacuation. But for the management of Alberta residents, it is that 5,000 population in Jasper, and the seasonal worker that support both industry and tourism in the town and the park. Sorry.
Thank you. And just to supplement that, did I hear incorrectly that 17,500 then, like as far as currently Alberta wide, including the residents of Jasper, how many people do you have evacuated at the moment?
Yeah, exactly. I'll give you a quick breakdown. So we're 10,000 is the number that we're tracking in Jasper, as I said, exclusive of visitors, because we have no means of tracking them after the fact if they don't decide to come back. Little Red River Cree Nation, that one is roughly 7,000. So that's those three communities that Minister Ellis mentioned. Garden River that was initially evacuated, plus Fox Lake and John Doe Prairie. And then we have Chipewyan Prairie First Nation, so Janvier 194, that was also mentioned by Minister Ellis, that's just over 400. And we have the MD of Opportunity with Chipewyan Lake, which is roughly 100. So that gives us the 17,500, give or take a few, in a very fluid situation. And those numbers will be confirmed as people register at the various reception centers set up in the province.
Of course, and then maybe a
sorry.
question for Parks Canada.
Sorry, thank you. We have to just move on. There's a lot of people that are in the queue. Can I just remind reporters to say their first and last name and their media outlet when they're asking a question? We're going to move on to Jonathan Bradley. Jonathan, do you have a question?
I'm here. Yeah. Hello, Minister Loewen. Thank you for taking my question. So you spoke at the moment about how the wildfire is located in the southern part of the area consisting of Jasper and Jasper National Park. What do you anticipate the cause of a wildfire being right now?
I think it's expected it was lightning caused. There's been a lot of lightning storms across Alberta, and I know there was some in that area. And I think they're attributing those fires there in Jasper to lightning. And a lot of the fires that we're fighting right now have been lightning, and there's expected to be more coming in the near future.
Okay. And Alberta Emergency Alert put out a tweet at early this morning, or I think it was around like 4:30 a.m. And it said that the evacuation was progressing well. What's the status of any remaining people leaving Jasper and Jasper National Park?
Okay, I'll maybe turn that one over to maybe Stephen. I'm not sure. He might be able to give a better information on the evacuation status there.
Okay.
Yes. So Jonathan, the tweets are capturing what's going out in the Alberta Emergency Alert System automatically. So it's not necessarily new information. That being said, yes, the evacuation was progressing well. What I am still confirming with the help of the local authority and the RCMP is if any folks remain in the Jasper town site. And actually there's an operation ongoing right now where they're going door to door to make sure everybody's safely out of the community. And then after that, as they do those two big loops back into Grand Prairie, we'll have more certainty on the exact numbers and the whereabouts of everybody. But that's about as much as I know right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to Michael King with Global.
Good morning. Yeah, Michael King, Global News in Calgary. We've got the reception center set up here in Calgary. Just wondering the importance that the other markets, including Grand Prairie and Prince George and Calgary, are playing. What sort of cooperation have you been getting with the municipalities there and their emergency operation centers?
Well, maybe I'll allow Stephen to supplement, but obviously very positive. It's typical of Albertans, right? I mean, when anywhere in Alberta where somebody's facing adversity, municipalities, neighbors, they all step up to the plate to support people. People of Calgary, the city of Calgary, the city of Grand Prairie are just two examples of what it means to be an Albertan. So I don't know if you have any more details on that, Stephen.
I don't really have more details other than we have outstanding relationships with all emergency management organizations in the province. We've been tested over time many times, unfortunately. So SEMA, or the Calgary Emergency Management Agency, we've got them on speed dial and vice versa. Outstanding relationship there. Same with Grand Prairie, as both of those communities were leveraged extensively last year for the evacuation of Albertans and then the evacuation of folks from the Northwest Territories. So no, outstanding cooperation all around is what I would say. And you know, I'll take a second there to plug and thank those two communities and their leadership for stepping up again when Albertans are in need. Thank you.
And as a follow-up, do we have an indication, even though I know the evacuations or reception center here in Calgary doesn't open till 11, do we have any indication in terms of how many people are expected to make their way down to Calgary?
We don't have those numbers yet, Michael. Of course, they'll be provided as people trickle in. And you know, I would say that some folks might decide to go elsewhere, and we have very little control over that. But people have been asked to register both at the reception center and online, so we'll be able to ascertain where those folks are for the ones who willingly share that information with the government.
Thank you, Stephen. I just want to let all the reporters know and the ministers and everybody on here that we have 10 minutes left to our Zoom stream. So I'm going to go to Nav for the next question.
Hi, Nav Sanga, CTV News, Edmonton. How do you know if you got everyone out of the back country?
That's a great question for Parks Canada, and I believe they're holding a press conference later today. I don't have that information, unfortunately.
Okay, as a follow-up for Minister Ellis, how was the emergency alert distributed, and did everyone get a message on their phone locally?
Well, I'll ask Stephen to give the details on that, but you know, obviously Alberta Emergency Management make sure that these alerts are provided or made accessible to every municipality in the province. You know, Jasper obviously was able to use the alert in order to notify and put out the information that they wanted at that particular time. Stephen, I don't know if you want to supplement that.
Yeah, thanks, Minister. So the system is extremely well, nimble and decentralized by nature, while we have the ability to issue those alerts. This alert was issued by the local authority. Did everybody get that alert? I would say that everybody that's got an LTE phone or more modern would have 100% received that alert. Everybody who's downloaded the Alberta Emergency Alert application on their phone would have gotten that alert. Are there going to be some anecdotal evidence in between? Probable, but given the size of the town and the local authorities' involvement, including the police force of jurisdiction, I would say that most, if not all, folks would have received that alert.
Let me just add to that, because it's I don't think it should be lost here. In my notes, we indicated that the RCMP were bringing in additional resources. Part of the reason why they were bringing in additional resources is to do those door knocks, right? Those are so important for those people to make sure that you know, everyone is notified and that everyone is evacuated. So thank you to the local police jurisdiction, the RCMP.
Thank you, Minister Ellis. We have time for one more question. We're going to call on Carly Robertson.
Hi there, it's Carly Robinson with City News. I'm just wondering the vulnerability of some of these communities when it comes to our roads. We're seeing Jasper, they had to head west. Fort McMurray last night was dealing with their road south closed. Is this something that the province is looking at long term?
You know, I think we'll pass it on to the Minister of Transportation. I know that he has been regular conversations with municipalities all throughout the province, especially those that have been affected by wildfire. I know firsthand that Minister Dreeshen has had conversations with the folks in the Fort McMurray and area, as it wasn't too long ago that they were hit with a wildfire. And of course, there were some concerns regarding egress routes and road closures. So I'll just say this, that he's working with municipalities all throughout the province to make sure that in the event of an evacuation, or in the event that we need to bring more resources in, that we have those roads available. So, but that question is best set to Minister of Transportation. But thank you.
Thank you. And in terms of the evacuation in Jasper last night, any injuries? A large amount of people leaving the park. Any structures lost as well?
Stephen, do you have any information on that one?
Yeah, no reports of any structural losses, and also no reports of any road traffic accidents, Carly, which is in itself pretty impressive, actually.
Do you have anything to add, Christy?
No, we have no reports from that.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. This is going to be the close of our wildfire update for today. Please feel free to email me any further questions you may have. We have also recorded this entire call, and if anyone would like the recording of it, please reach out and we will provide it.